The morning sun filtered weakly through the smudged glass of the city bus as Anna shifted her 3-year-old son, Daniel, higher onto her hip. His small arms were looped tightly around her neck, his head resting sleepily against her shoulder. She had already been awake since 5 a.m., packing his little bag with snacks, a toy car, and a spare change of clothes. It wasn't how she imagined preparing for the most important job interview of her life, but she had no other choice. Her babysitter had cancelled at the last minute. With no family in the city, no friends she could call, Anna had stared at the phone in her hand for nearly half an hour, debating whether to cancel the interview too. But she couldn't. Rent was due in 2 weeks, groceries were running low, and she'd already stretched her last paycheck to its breaking point. This interview could mean a steady income, stability, and a better life for Daniel. "Mommy, I'm hungry," Daniel whispered, rubbing his eyes. She smiled softly, handing him a cracker from his bag. "Just a little longer, sweetheart. We'll get something nice after." The bus jolted to a stop in front of the towering glass building downtown. Its sleek design and revolving doors seemed to mock her scuffed shoes and worn-out handbag. She adjusted her blouse nervously, straightened her son's jacket, and whispered, "We've got this, Danny." Inside the lobby, polished marble floors reflected the fluorescent lights above. Professionals in crisp suits clicked past, their briefcases swinging as if they belonged to another world, a world Anna wasn't sure she fit into. She followed the signs to the 14th floor, clutching Daniel's hand tightly. When the elevator doors opened, she stepped into a reception area lined with leather chairs and glossy magazines. The receptionist, a young woman with sleek hair and perfect nails, looked up and froze at the sight of Anna with a child. "Excuse me, ma'am," the receptionist said, her smile faltering. "Children aren't allowed in the interview area." Anna's stomach dropped. Heat rushed to her cheeks. I understand, but my sitter cancelled last minute. I didn't want to miss the opportunity." "He'll sit quietly, I promise. Please." The receptionist's eyes flickered with discomfort. She lowered her voice. "I'm sorry, but it won't look professional. I'll have to inform the hiring manager." Anna hugged Daniel closer, her throat tightening. She wanted to beg, to explain that she wasn't careless, just desperate to provide for her son. Every sacrifice she had made, the sleepless nights, the skipped meals, the constant balancing act, had led to this moment. And now, it seemed, everything might slip away before it even began. Daniel tugged at her sleeve. "Mommy, don't cry," he whispered, his innocent voice cutting through her turmoil. She blinked back tears and forced a shaky smile. "I'm okay, baby, I'm okay." Just as the receptionist picked up the phone, the elevator behind Anna chimed open again. Out stepped a tall man in a tailored suit, his presence commanding immediate attention. He was older, distinguished, with sharp eyes that softened the moment they fell on the young woman holding a child in the middle of the office. "Is there a problem here?" the man asked, his deep voice carrying across the room. The receptionist straightened instantly, her expression shifting to respect. "Mr. Lawson, sir, this applicant brought her child to the interview." "I was just explaining that it's against protocol." Anna turned, startled, recognizing him from the company's website. Richard Lawson, the self-made millionaire CEO, a man known in business circles for his ruthless deals and sharp instincts. He studied her for a long moment, then glanced down at Daniel, who was clutching his mother's blouse with wide, trusting eyes, and in that instant, everything changed. Richard Lawson paused just inside the reception area, his sharp gaze fixed on Anna and her son. The silence that followed was thick, broken only by the faint buzz of the fluorescent lights and Daniel's soft fidgeting. To Anna, it felt as though the entire floor was watching, waiting for the powerful man to pass judgment. "Your sitter cancelled?" Lawson asked calmly, his voice devoid of irritation. Anna blinked, caught off guard. "Yes, sir. I didn't want to miss the interview. I thought if he sat quietly, it wouldn't be a problem." Her voice trembled as she spoke, torn between pride and desperation. Daniel peeked out from behind her shoulder and, in a small voice, said, "Hi." A faint smile tugged at Lawson's lips. He crouched down slightly, meeting Daniel at eye level. "And what's your name, young man?" "Danny," the boy whispered, gripping his toy car. "Well, Danny," Lawson said warmly, "that's a fine car you've got there." Then, standing tall again, he turned to the receptionist. Canceling someone's interview because they're a parent, because they refuse to leave their child alone, is that company policy? The receptionist flushed crimson, stumbling for words. No, sir, I just thought, it might appear unprofessional. Lawson raised a hand, silencing her gently but firmly. Unprofessional is shutting out talent because they're trying to balance work and family. Anna's breath caught. Was this real? For hours that morning, she had rehearsed explanations, apologies, pleas, but never in her wildest dreams had she imagined the CEO himself defending her. Come with me, Lawson said to Anna, gesturing toward the hall. You're here for an interview, and you'll have one. The receptionist blinked, stunned. But, sir, the hiring manager. I'm the hiring manager today, Lawson said evenly, his tone leaving no room for debate. I want to hear her story. Anna followed him down the corridor, her legs weak but her heart racing. Daniel clutched her hand tightly, his small steps echoing against the polished floor. When they reached Lawson's office, the difference was striking. Mahogany desk, floor-to-ceiling windows framing the skyline, and shelves lined with awards and books. Please, Lawson said, motioning toward a chair. Sit. Both of you. Anna hesitated, then lowered herself into the chair, placing Daniel on her lap. Her cheeks burned. Mr. Lawson, I'm so sorry about this. I know it's unorthodox. If you'd like me to reschedule. Lawson shook his head. You showed up. That says more to me than any rescheduling could. He leaned back in his chair, studying her. Tell me, Anna, why this job? Why now? Her throat tightened, but she met his eyes. Because I need it. Not just for me, for him. She kissed the top of Daniel's head gently. I've been working night shifts, taking any job I can. But it's never steady, never enough. I want to give him stability. A home where I don't have to choose between paying rent and buying groceries. I'm willing to work harder than anyone else, but I just need someone to give me a chance. Lawson was quiet, his expression unreadable. Then, unexpectedly, he smiled again. You remind me of someone I once knew. Anna tilted her head. Who? My mother, Lawson said softly. She raised me on her own. She brought me to her cleaning jobs when she couldn't afford childcare. People looked at her the same way they looked at you out there. But she never quit, and she taught me the value of resilience. The room was silent for a beat. Anna swallowed hard, her eyes stinging with unshed tears. Lawson leaned forward. I don't just want employees who look perfect on paper. I want people who know how to fight, who know what's at stake. That kind of drive, you can't teach it. He glanced at Daniel, who was quietly rolling his toy car on the armrest. I see that in you. Anna's breath caught. For the first time in years, hope bloomed in her chest. Anna sat frozen in the leather chair, Daniel squirming gently on her lap. She didn't dare move, afraid that any sudden action might break the fragile moment she'd found herself in. Richard Lawson, the man whose name was whispered with awe across the city, was looking at her not as a mistake in the lobby, but as a person. He leaned back in his chair, tapping a pen against his desk rhythmically. I want to be clear, he began, his tone suddenly sharper. This is a demanding company. The role you're applying for requires late hours, problem-solving under pressure, and initiative when things fall apart. Many people without children struggle to keep up. Anna straightened, heart pounding. I know, but I'm not afraid of hard work. I've been working harder than most people for years. I just haven't been given the chance to prove it. Lawson studied her for a long moment. What was your last job? I worked nights at a diner, Anna said. I cleaned tables, managed orders, and even covered for the cashier when she quit. Before that, I took on freelance bookkeeping jobs, mostly small businesses. I have a degree in accounting, but I never landed a corporate role after graduation. Life just happened. She gave a faint, embarrassed laugh. I thought I'd take a short break after having Daniel. That short break turned into 3 years of scraping by. Daniel, oblivious to the weight in the room, drove his toy car along her arm with a cheerful vroom. Lawson's stern face softened almost imperceptibly. You said you're not afraid of hard work, he said. But what happens when your son gets sick? Or his school needs you in the middle of the day? Anna took a breath, her voice steady but thick with emotion. Then I'll handle it, the way I've always handled everything else. I won't deny it's harder for me than for someone without children. But being a mother hasn't made me weaker, it's made me stronger, more disciplined, more resourceful. Every day, I have to plan, adapt, and push forward, no matter what comes my way. That's the mindset I'd bring here. The CEO's eyes narrowed, as though weighing her words on invisible scales. His silence stretched, filling the room until Anna felt her lungs tighten. Then, Lawson set the pen down. You know, when I started this company, no one believed in me either. Investors told me I was too young, too inexperienced, not polished enough. But I knew what they didn't. I had more to lose if I failed, and that gave me an edge. People underestimate hunger. He leaned forward, clasping his hands together. And I see hunger in you. Anna's eyes widened, her lips parting slightly in disbelief. Are you saying? I'm saying you're hired, Lawson said firmly. For a moment, Anna couldn't breathe. The words echoed in her ears like a lifeline being thrown into stormy waters. Daniel looked up at her with wide, curious eyes. Mommy, did we win? Her laugh broke through her tears, shaky but full of joy. Yes, baby, we won. Lawson allowed himself a rare chuckle. You start Monday. I'll have HR adjust the paperwork. In the meantime, he added, glancing at Daniel, we'll make sure you have flexible arrangements when you need them. I don't believe in punishing people for being parents. Anna pressed a trembling hand over her mouth, overcome with gratitude. Thank you, Mr. Lawson. You don't know what this means for us. Oh, I do, Lawson said softly, his gaze distant for just a second. Because once upon a time, my mother was sitting exactly where you are. The air shifted in the room, heavy with unspoken understanding. For the first time in years, Anna felt the crushing weight of fear lift, replaced by hope, fragile but burning bright. And she knew. This was the turning point not just in her career, but in her life. The following Monday, Anna stood once again at the towering glass building, her reflection flickering faintly in the polished doors. But this time, she wasn't clutching Daniel on her hip with fear tightening her chest. Instead, she held her head high, wearing the same blouse she had carefully ironed the night before, paired with the skirt she'd saved for special occasions. Daniel had insisted on giving her his toy car that morning. For good luck, Mommy, he'd said, pressing the little red car into her palm before heading off with a neighbor who had kindly agreed to watch him. Anna had tucked it into her bag like a talisman. When she stepped into the lobby, the receptionist from last week glanced up, recognition flickering in her eyes. But this time, there was no hesitation, no judgment. Just a polite nod. Anna returned it calmly, a quiet triumph settling in her chest. On the 14th floor, a new world opened to her. A team of employees bustled through the open office, phones ringing, keyboards clattering. It should have been overwhelming, but Anna felt grounded, steady. She wasn't just a desperate applicant anymore, she belonged here. Lawson himself appeared by the conference room door, his presence commanding as always. Good, you're here, he said with a rare approving nod. Come, I want to introduce you to the team. The introductions were brisk, but Anna noticed the curious glances, the faint smiles. Everyone already knew her story. Word had spread quickly after the CEO himself had intervened. Instead of shame, she felt pride. She hadn't hidden who she was. She had walked in, flaws and all, and still earned her place. That evening, when she picked up Daniel, her heart nearly burst when he asked, "Did they like you, Mommy?" They did, she told him, scooping him up and spinning him in her arms. They really did. Weeks turned into months, and the changes began to ripple through her life. The steady paycheck meant the overdue bills were finally caught up. Groceries no longer meant calculating every cent at the checkout counter. She even found a small apartment closer to the office, with a cheerful bedroom that Daniel proudly called his race car room. At work, Anna threw herself into her responsibilities. She stayed late when needed, learned new software, and asked questions without fear of sounding inexperienced. Her coworkers quickly realized she was more than just a charity case the CEO had taken in. She was smart, resourceful, and dependable. One evening, as the office was winding down, Lawson stopped by her desk. "How are you adjusting?" he asked. Anna looked up, surprised but smiling. "It's been incredible. I still can't believe this is real. Lawson gave a small nod. Believe it. You've earned it. Keep proving it every day, and this won't just be a job. It will be a career. Her chest swelled with gratitude. I won't let you down. I know, Lawson said, his tone steady. Then, after a pause, he added, my mother would have been proud to see this. Anna swallowed hard, emotion catching in her throat. She understood, without him saying it outright, that this wasn't just about her. It was about every parent who had been told they didn't belong, every single mother who had carried the weight of the world on her shoulders. Months later, on a crisp autumn morning, Anna walked Daniel to preschool. He ran ahead, his little backpack bouncing as he called, "Bye, Mommy." She watched him go, a smile breaking across her face. For the first time in years, the future didn't look like a storm she had to weather, it looked like a horizon she could finally reach. As she headed to work, the toy car still tucked in her bag, Anna realized something profound. Being rejected that day in the lobby had almost crushed her. But it had also led to the moment the CEO walked in, a moment that changed everything. And now, she wasn't just surviving. She was building a life. For herself, for her son, for their future.